Welcome to the Android Show.
Whoa, what's going on, John?
Oops. Oh, wow, I know today is the release of the Androidify app, so you can make your own Android bot. We'll see a video on that in a few minutes. Maybe they were a little aggressive with the launch.
Okay, one more time from the top.
Welcome to the Android Show. I'm John Zoller from the Wear OS DevRel team at Android.
And I'm Anise Davis, Android developer and longtime Google developer expert.
We're here in New York City for the Made by Google event last month.
There were some great new devices on display, including a new foldable.
Foldable, huh? That gives me an idea.
Okay. We're also gonna see the latest features in the world of Android Studio.
Awesome. I love developments. Android Studio Narwhal 3 launches on the stable channel today, so there's plenty to talk about and play with.
Definitely. First, I have to give a shout out to Studio's new agent mode. I've been using it since it dropped earlier this summer, and having it generate code for you is really powerful.
And it's so easy to integrate that code into your current project files, have it work on bug fixes, and iterate towards what you need.
It's like having a coding partner.
Exactly. It's like pair programming without arguing whoever gets to write the code.
There's also another new feature, MCP.
Model code pretty?
No. Model Context Protocol, a standard that Studio can use to communicate with tools that implement MCP to extend its capabilities even further.
Ah, okay. You got an example?
I do, but you'll have to wait for the upcoming videos which answer that exact question.
Ooh, way to build suspense.
And right after that, we'll be diving into the world of Androidify, which is live today. Now, anyone can make their own Android bots using a selfie and AI on Androidify.com and via the Androidify app on Google Play. Gemini 2.5 Flash and Imagen 3 help turn your selfie into a bot, and with the help of VO3, you can make your bot groove.
Watch these videos for more information on all of this, and we'll see you back here soon.
Model Context Protocol, or MCP, is an open protocol that standardizes how AI models connect to different data sources and tools. It seems like there are new MCP servers popping up daily, and I wanted to better understand what's available to me as an Android developer. So I spoke with Jose from the Android Developer Relations team.
I'm really excited about this topic because MCP makes agents a lot more useful and developers a lot more productive. So let's dive in. When an agent starts a task, it tells the LLM which features are available. For example, Android Studio has tools like read file, find usages, or Gradle sync. MCP allows you to extend this list of tools, adding your own.
What's a specific task that I can complete with additional tools at the agent's disposal?
A good example is GitHub's MCP server, which gives you access to your repositories, issues, pull requests, etc. Let me show you. You just need to configure it, following the documentation, and get a personal access token. With that, I can now ask questions like, are there any issues assigned to me in the Now in Android GitHub repo? The agent sends this prompt to Gemini, and Gemini will use the new tool that the MCP server is exposing. This tool is called List Issues. As you can see, the agent also needed to call search repositories, because I said Now in Android, but didn't specify which org it belongs to.
I guess there's a way to tell the agent where that GitHub repo lives.
Yes, if I open the context dropdown, you can see new options here, agent.md and something called rules. I can edit these rules in the settings. For example, in the project rule, I can write, the project is hosted in github.com/android/nowinandroid. Now, that rule is going to be added to every task. So if I start a new one and ask, show open issues assigned to me, I don't have to specify where the project is hosted anymore, and we can save one tool call.
So could the agent resolve an issue directly from Android Studio?
Exactly. All the details are already in the context, so you can have the agent start the implementation instead of going into GitHub yourself. This is just one example, but the more you use agent mode, the more MCP servers and rules you'll want to add. Now, having lots of tools inflates your context, so I suggest disabling the MCP servers that you're not using.
That's a great tip. When can I start integrating MCP into my workflow?
Well, this is already available in the latest stable version of Android Studio, so you can try it out today.
Gemini in Android Studio. What used to take weeks now only take days, and what used to take hours now only take minutes. I'm Jackson. I lead the Android development team at Entri.
I'm Sanjay, and I head product at Entri. Entri is a vernacular learning platform that helps over 15 million users in India to upskill and prepare for jobs in their own language. Our vision is to democratize access to AI-powered, tutor-led, personalized courses for every learner in India. It is important for us to be the first to try out AI-assisted software development because we want to be at the bleeding edge.
We were eager to be one of the first to test out Gemini in Android Studio when it became available in Canary Bills. When using Gemini in Android Studio, we saved 40% in UI development time. Gemini significantly reduced the time and effort required to build Compose layouts. We were able to take UI mocks from Figma and have Gemini in Android Studio turn them into working Compose code. We wanted to be the first in the market to launch new AI learning features. With Gemini's help, we launched AI Teaching Assistant and Interview Coach into production way much faster than we could, completely built in Compose.
After Gemini, our discussions were much more productive. Like, we were able to discuss more about logic, UX, rather than spending our time on the UI. Saved us a lot of time. The collaboration between design, development, and the product is at an all-time high. At Entri, we are highly agile, which means that we incorporate a lot of last-minute changes and iterations on features based on feedback. It used to be a hassle, it used to take us weeks, but now with Gemini and Android Studio, we are able to pull this off in days. We launched an AI learning feature, which was a first time for us. We had a lot of feedback coming in, and we had to make these changes quickly. And with Gemini, we have been able to do an amazing job at that, to get our users happy as quick as possible.
Having AI is deeply integrated into Android Studio significantly reduced our time to switch between the IDE and external documentation. Chatting with Gemini helped me to learn new approaches and best practices that I hadn't tried before, like Jetpack Compose and modern architectural patterns.
At Entri, we believe in a strong culture of experimentation. We have multiple experiments running parallelly in the production, which means we had to get from ideation to validation as quickly as possible. Recently, we ran an experiment in our signer flow. The entire UI and the flow had to be revamped. It was a huge task, but we were able to pull this off at the fastest pace with Gemini and Android Studio. With Gemini, we are releasing more experiments than ever before without compromising on the quality.
Recently, in agent mode, we used Figma UI mockups to generate Compose code, and it saved us so much time. I would really recommend any Android developer to try Gemini in Android Studio.
We're reimagining the entire OS layer, putting Gemini right at the core of Android.
Hi there, I'm Christopher from the Android team. With more devs using AI and with Android being rebuilt with AI at its core, we thought, why not do the same with our lovable Android mascot too? Just like the operating system, the mascot has always been something you've loved to play around with and make your own. Over the years, there's been lots of iterations of the Android bot, including a few years ago when we launched Androidify to let you make your own bot. So we asked ourselves, how would we rebuild this experience today using AI? And the answer, of course, was with a selfie. It was a bit more complicated than that, so I spoke with Avni to tell us how the team used AI to translate that selfie into a bot. Take a listen.
We knew we wanted to use a selfie, but how we go from a selfie to a bot was a fun challenge. We decided that first we had to validate that the image could work, and that it was of a person with enough detail to generate a bot. Then we had to turn that image into a descriptive prompt, and Gemini 2.5 Flash via the Firebase AI Logic SDK helped us do that. It captioned the photo and also created a structured output. And then there was the actual creation of the bot. And for that, we used Imagen 3. There are lots of details to getting the Android bot recognizable and iconic, so we did have to train the model. The Imagen 3 model was fine-tuned using supervised fine-tuning. SFT is a fine-tuning technique that directly updates all of the model's weights. This allows for comprehensive changes, enabling the model to learn and encode new detail patterns and produce highly specific and visually appealing images of Android bots. We ran a fine-tuning pipeline on the Imagen 3 model, with Android bot assets of different color combinations and different assets for enhanced cuteness and fun. We generated text captions for the training images. and the image-to-text pairs were then used to fine-tune the model effectively. Next, we wanted to give your bot a vibe and make it dance. To do this, we used Veo 3, Google's latest AI video generation model, to animate the bot. To simplify the process, we chose 10 different vibes, which are interest-based backgrounds, and wrote specific prompts for each one that you can select. The experience then takes your created bot, combines it with the vibe you chose, and Veo 3 animates it into a fun 8-second video.
Speaking of getting the model right, you may have noticed that since the last time we had Androidify, the Android bot went from 2D to 3D. Getting that to look just right also took a lot of work, and for that I spoke with Robbie on the brand team.
To train the model, we needed lots of different versions of the Android 3D bot. So we made them for ourselves and people in the team, and in the process we learned a lot about what people care about. Some wanted bots which looked like exact mini versions of themselves, and others wanted to just show their personality or interests. So we made hundreds, each with a variety of different clothing and hairstyles and accessories, all with different textures and colors. When using this data to train the AI, we saw a lot of stuff that did work and a lot of stuff that didn't work. But once we were happy, it then came to designing the vibes for the short videos. As mentioned earlier, the vibes are like visual references that Veo can use to then create the short animations. We designed them based on people's hobbies or interests, but still making them feel very Android. Expressive, colorful, and most importantly, fun.
Once we were ready, we needed to put it together for users with an app. Rebecca Franks on the Android developer relations team helped drive the app, and she started by building, of course, with Jetpack Compose.
The user interface of the Androidify app is built using Jetpack Compose, our recommended modern Android UI toolkit. The app has many delightful details built into the UI. For example, the app uses the latest alpha of Material 3, which unlocks the newest design features. In this sample, we use many of the new Material 3 expressive concepts, such as dynamic shape morphing and new componentry such as expressive button groups. We also take advantage of the new motion scheme animation spec variables whenever an animation spec is required throughout the app. To create the selfie experience that Avneet spoke about earlier, the app integrates with the Compose Camera X Jetpack library to do so. This makes camera app development way easier in Compose. The app also uses a custom camera layout composable, which supports all the typical composables that a camera preview screen would include. For example, a zoom, a capture, and a flip camera button, all in a reusable layout that can be reused across form factors. The app functions seamlessly across a range of different devices, from candy bar phones to foldables and tablets. This was achieved by extracting out reusable layouts and leveraging APIs such as the window size classes to determine what layout to display.
So that's Androidify, a brand new version so you can make your very own Android with the selfie and Google's AI tools. You can try it out for yourself, download the app on Google Play or go to androidify.com and check out the sample code on GitHub to see how we made it. We can't wait to see your dancing Android bots.
I'm Dan Galpin for Now in Android, your ongoing guide to what's new and notable in the world of Android development. Today, we have Android 16 QPR2 Beta 1, the Android Studio Narwhal feature drop, Jetpack Compose 1.9, Media 3 1.8, shape morphing and autofill in Compose, and much more. The first beta of Android 16 QPR2 is now available, the inaugural Android release with an Android Minor SDK version. It includes new APIs that extend platform features, but cannot introduce target SDK version gated behavior changes, minimizing the amount you need to test your apps against it. The Android Studio Narwhal feature drop is available in the stable channel, with support for Gemini and Android Studio Agent Mode to tackle complex multi-step coding tasks, the rules and prompt library to customize Gemini's output for your project's standards, transform preview with Gemini that uses natural language to iterate on Compose UI, support for immersive development with the embedded XR Android emulator, a new XR project template, and the embedded layout inspector for XR. Android partner device labs with Android device streaming, giving you remote access to a fleet of physical devices from our OEM partners, including Samsung, Xiaomi, Oppo, OnePlus, and Vivo. better Compose preview with improved code navigation and the new Compose Preview Picker, faster performance with the next-gen K2 Kotlin compiler enabled by default, lint warnings, analysis, and an emulator to help you prepare for new 16 KB page size devices, and more. Also, Android Studio is transitioning to a monthly stable release cadence to speed up getting you new features and critical bug fixes. Jetpack Compose 1.9 is now stable. This release introduces modifier.dropShadow and InnerShadow for rendering box shadow effects, onVisibility changed and onFirstVisible modifiers for tracking element visibility, output transformations using textFieldBuffer.addStyle, lazy layout cache window to enhance prefetching for improved lazy layout performance, scrollable 2D to enable scrolling, flinging, and nested scrolling in 2D, along with bug fixes and new features to improve scroll and nested scroll views interop. Composer.setDiagnosticStackTrace enabled to help provide richer class location details in stack traces in your debug builds, new annotations, lint checks, and more. We released Media 3 1.8, which includes support for a new scrubbing mode in Exoplayer and the player control view that optimizes performance for frequent user-driven seeks, support for live streams and asset lists and HLS interstitials ads loader for all your server-guided ad insertion needs, duration retrieval without playback, and auto-closable pattern support in a significantly updated metadata retriever. Playback resumption support in the demo app, helped by better notification defaults in Media Session. Experimental optimizations for faster trim operations on MP4 edit lists. Chipset-specific encoder configuration optimizations in Codec DB Lite to maximize user-perceived quality at your target bitrate. And a refreshed Adaptive First composition demo app built entirely with Kotlin and Compose that showcases a custom multi-asset video compositor. Rebecca covered how Androidify achieved its transition between the photo button and the camera screen in advanced shared elements with shape morphing. In Wear OS Material 3 shape morphing, Kiara demonstrated how to add animated shape changes in Jetpack Compose to buttons and button groups, along with vertically scrolling lists where items scale and morph as they approach the screen edges. On the Android Developers Backstage podcast, Tor and Chet joined Melba and Ralston from the Compose team to discuss autofill, how it works with Compose, and how Jetpack Compose 1.8 offloads autofill logic from the app by using Compose's semantic system to provide content type information. That's it for today. We covered the first ever Android release with a minor Android SDK, Android 16 QPR2, the Android Studio Narwhal feature drop, Jetpack Compose 1.9, Media 3 1.8, shape morphing, autofill and Compose, Android X changes, and much more. Remember to like, subscribe, share, stay safe, and come back soon for the latest updates from the Android developer universe.
Okay, can we talk about devices now?
Devices? You looking for devices? I got you. Want a large screen?
No.
Or?
No. I think I'll stick with the Pixel Fold 10. Wait till you see the details in the upcoming video.
Right, but you said you were excited about watches too. Any of these?
I was thinking more about the new Pixel Watch 4, Wear OS 6, which launched a few weeks ago, and how the new Pixel Watch 4 is where its vision comes to life.
Speaking of large screens, the upcoming developer videos will help you get your apps working on multiple form factors. Building for expansive screens is even easier now with the new Compose adaptive layout library and the large screen capabilities of Android 16.
So get your apps working across all the screens.
And don't miss my favorite video about the latest updates in Wear OS 6, like Material 3 Expressive and new battery life improvements.
These all sound awesome, but enough talking. Stay tuned for those videos.
It's watch time.
The launch of the new Pixel 10 Pro Fold marks a new era for Android apps, where high-quality experiences are expected across every screen. To translate what this new hardware means for us, I'm speaking with Jeff from the Pixel PM team, and I even heard there's an exciting announcement to help us with building better adaptive apps.
The Pixel 10 Pro Fold is our most advanced foldable yet, and it brings a ton of new innovations this year. It all starts at the hinge. Pixel 10 Pro Fold features an all-new gearless hinge that is smooth and twice as durable as before. When unfolded, you're greeted by an 8-inch Super Actual Flex display that is our biggest and brightest display on a phone yet. When it's folded, You have a larger 6.4-inch actual display, all in a design that's narrower and feels great in your hand. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold has our biggest batteries yet in a foldable device and has 30 hours of battery life. And it's the first foldable with Qi 2 built in. This gives Pixel 10 Pro Fold compatibility with a wide range of first-party and third-party magnetic accessories, including our newly announced Pixel Snap accessories. With split screen, users can now multitask easier than ever, or they can use drag and drop to drag media and files from one app to the next. Pixel 10 Pro Fold is more than just a device launch. It represents a shift that's happening in Android, where users are getting phones in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And this means that they expect your apps to work across all these different shapes and sizes, and presents a critical opportunity for Android developers to adopt adaptive development principles.
That shift is driving a fundamental approach to building apps. Let's learn more about adaptive development from Miguel, a developer relations engineer on large screens.
The strategic advantage for building adaptively is huge. It's about user engagement and retention. We see that when a user uses an app on their phone and also a larger screen, that user is almost 3 times more engaged. Additionally, the Play Store actively promotes apps that have excellent large screen experiences. This means building adaptively with an adaptive mindset not only benefits your current users and makes them happier, but also helps you reach new users as well. The big news is Compose Adaptive Layouts Library 1.2 is officially entering beta today. This is our foundational library for building UI that adapts across different window sizes. And this release includes powerful new features like Reflow and Levitate, which helps you build dynamic layouts that look great on the outer and inner displays. Additionally, this release also includes built-in support for the new large and extra large window size classes. Developers looking to build adaptively should think about 4 core practices that they should follow. First, don't restrict orientation. Your app should work in both portrait and landscape. Second, support optimized layouts. Use libraries like the Compose Adaptive Layouts and Jetpack Window Manager to build UI that adapts to different window sizes and device postures. Additionally, think beyond touch. Build great experiences for your users that use keyboard, mouse, stylus. And finally, use the resizable emulator in Android Studio to test across various screen sizes and form factors. I think the single most exciting thing is, as a developer, your app's potential is no longer confined to a single screen. With this, you can build a single app with a single code base that works great on your phone and then expands to a more productive experience on tablets and foldables. My advice for developers on the first step they should take an inventory of where you are. Test your app on a large screen device, identify areas for improvement using the resizable emulator in Android Studio. Next, explore the large screen design gallery and app quality guidelines, see what's possible and envision where your app can go. And finally, bring your vision to life. Check out our libraries like the Compose Adaptive Layouts Library and Jetpack Window Manager.
Get inspired and find all the resources you need to build for every fold, flip, and screen at developer.android.com/adaptive-apps.
What if you could elevate every aspect of your app's experience at once, making it more personal, expressive, and powerful? The new Pixel Watch 4 is here, powered by the stable release of Wear OS 6. I caught up with Munjal from the Pixel PM team to walk me through the highlights of this new device.
Pixel Watch 4 is a significant leap. It's completely redesigned from inside and outside. From outside, you have this beautiful CUDA 360 dome display. Inside is packed with innovative features. It has 18% more accurate sleep tracking. We have 25% more charging. We also have 25% faster processor with half the power. Beyond aesthetics, Pixel Watch 4 is powered by Wear OS 6 platform, allows our developers to create more richer and interactive applications, which can take benefits of everything what's inside. With the 360 XUI display, which is 3,000 nits brighter and 10% larger, allows developers to actually have a larger canvas to play with and also give these edgeless experiences within their apps. 25% faster co-processor, it allows the app developers to develop experiences and rely on the platform to give this faster app responses.
But what does all this mean for developers? I chatted with Jamie from the Wear OS team to get his perspective.
So Wear OS 6 launched a few weeks ago, and with the Pixel Watch 4, it all comes to life. This is the first smartwatch with the full Material 3 expressive experience. And for developers, that means you can build apps that are not only functional, but they're rich and expressive as well, all with the Jetpack Compose tools that you already know.
How can developers bring that new Material 3 expressive look into their own apps?
So first, you can update your UIs by adopting the new Wear Compose material libraries. Second, you can explore the Watch Face Push API to bring new watch face experiences to your users. And finally, you should download the Wear OS 6 emulator where you can test and verify your app.
And this new level of design extends beyond just the app's UI, right?
Exactly. A big part of the watch's personality is the watch face. And with the new Watch Face Push API, developers can use the phone app to push and manage watch faces directly on the watch. This unlocks, finally, the full marketplace experience. And so partners like Facer are using this to bring their massive catalog back to Wear OS. And this is bringing a huge ecosystem for developers and users.
And great features need a great foundation. What can you tell me about the performance improvements in Wear OS 6?
Yeah, power and performance are critical. And so that's why we've invested so much in the Wear OS platform. So watches upgrading to Wear OS 6 should expect to see up to 10% better battery life. And we've invested in performance to make app launches quicker. It's all about making sure that developers have a reliable and efficient platform to work with. So the big shift here is that it's no longer have to compromise. Previously, developers had to pick between beautiful animations and battery life. With Wear OS 6, we've removed those barriers. So now you can build helpful, expressive, and power-efficient apps all at once.
You can start building your next Wear OS experience today, and you'll find all the resources you need at developer.android.com/wear.
Dashlane is a password manager that has evolved into a complete credential security platform. Our Android app currently protects millions of users and companies from credential-based threats. Dashlane users are expecting to be able to log in seamlessly on all platforms. Dashlane's Wear OS app puts users' passkeys, passwords, and one-time codes directly on their watch. It means that users can log in into other apps with a single tap without even needing a phone.
One of the main advantages of the Credential Manager API is that it's unified between phone and Wear OS. That leads to some great surprises because we are able to reuse up to 92% of our logic between both platforms, and that meant that we only had to write 78 new lines of code just for the Wear OS implementation. On top of that, because we have a design system based on Compose, we were able to reuse 60% of our UI codes for the Wear OS app.
Over the years, we got many requests to have a Wear OS app. Unfortunately, historically, Wear OS lacked the key APIs that we needed, such as Credential Manager or Autofill, and that prevented us to publish an application on Wear OS.
But thankfully, with the Credential Manager API, all the developers don't need to implement this workaround. They can just rely on the Credential Manager. This helps them to benefit for one-tap authentication flow. So the Credential Manager API simplifies the implementation for us because it defines a clear authentication contract. We are able to know exactly when the user needs their credentials and what type of credential they need, passwords or passkeys, for instance. It's much more easier and simpler for us because we don't have to basically interact with custom login form that can be quite complex to pass sometimes.
We are excited to see more developers adopting the Credential Manager API to make the login experience seamless. Being one of the first credential managers in the Wear OS has been a key differentiator for Dashlane because it sets us as innovative and focused on the user experience. We believe the future is passwordless, with passkeys leading the way.
Our advice is simple. Embrace the Credential Manager API. It provides a smoother one-tap login experience to your users and greatly simplify your development.
What if you could reach your users in a single glance? The opportunity is here, and it's on the wrist. With its rapidly expanding user base, Wear OS gives you the ability to reach more Android users on their smartwatches, and the chance to boost your app's engagement. By creating a Wear OS app and leveraging surfaces like tiles and complications, you can deliver glanceable information right on their wrist. Ready to tap on Wear OS development? Wait no more. Welcome to Wear OS Spotlight Week. Wear OS shares the same foundation as Android, so you can use all familiar Jetpack libraries such as Compose and best-in-class tools. But the key difference is in the variety of experiences you can build for Wear OS, from familiar notification and apps to more personal surfaces like tiles, complications, and watch faces. Let's take a sneak peek at just 3 of the many things we'll be covering in the Wear OS Spotlight Week. Number 1. Premium experiences on Wear OS. Material Tree Expressive Design is now available on Wear OS, both on apps and tiles, allowing a great level of expression to meet user demand for experiences that are modern, relevant, and distinct. Number 2. Build a watch faces marketplace. Watch Face Push API allows you to push a watch face to a connected Wear OS device from your own app, making the browsing, selection, and installation process much smoother and more integrated for users. Number 3. Implement Credential Manager on Wear OS. Passkeys are now available on Wear OS as part of Credential Manager, which provides a simple and secure authentication flow for users. Credential Manager also supports passwords and federated identities like sign-in with Google. And as a unified API, it works the same across all supported Android devices. And that's just the start. Check out this Spotlight Week to learn how you can take advantage of smartwatches to bring value to your Android users and implement engaging and delightful Wear OS experiences.
Oh hey! Want to get direct insights from Google experts on new APIs and best practices? Dive into the Android Conference Talks playlist on the Android Developers YouTube channel. You'll level up your skills to build incredible apps. Here are 4 recent talks. Have you ever wondered how Androidify is built? Learn about how Rebecca built the app from scratch in this video, giving you an example of AI-powered experiences on Android. Learn from Jeremy about navigating the future with Jetpack Navigation 3, a new navigation library designed to work with Compose. Learn from Aaron and Ash on how to enrich your app with live updates and widgets, covering new progress style templates and generated widget previews. And also, you can learn from me on how to optimize your app battery drain using new Android Vital metrics. That's just a small sample. There are so many more topics to explore. We hope you enjoyed this collection of technical content. Happy learning.
Okay, that was a quick deep dive into the latest Android Studio features.
And form factor development.
And new devices made by Google.
And some made by Googler.
If you didn't see the videos yet, check out the playlist for everything we talked about.
And we'll be back later this fall for our next episode of The Android Show.
Oh, and I almost forgot. Don't forget to go make your own Android bot with Androidify. We can't wait to see your bot groove. Go get the latest release of Androidify now with the new Gemini capabilities.
See you next time.
Made by Googler? Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Step to the beat, only time I get down is when I move with the feet. Let me show you what I mean. Everybody up, how do you see?